Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I bid to our beloved Madam Sally and also to all my fellow friends. Our group are going to present an analysis on Syed Saddiq interview with Al Jazeera based on Lakoff politeness principle. These are all our group members, and I'm Nur Fatihah binti Saupi with metric number 047844 are going to present on our introduction part. Okay, for introduction, the genre of our video is politics, and the name of the program is Talk Show Up Front, hosted by Mehdi Hassan from Al Jazeera channel. So the video that we are going to be analyzed is entitled Is It Game Over for Malaysia's Mahathir Mohamad? Upfront special interview from Al Jazeera with Syed Saddiq. So what is the video is all about? It is actually an interview with Syed Saddiq, who defends Malaysia's political colossus Mahathir Mohamad, and he said that what we are seeing in Malaysia is the formation of an illegitimate backdoor government. Next, I am going to briefly explain about the politeness principle that we going to use in analyzing the video. So, politeness principle was proposed by Robin Lakoff in 1973, and it refers to a positive conduct made by people in order to avoid conflict in daily communication. So, people need to abide politeness in delivering the message effectively besides building rapport with one another.
My name is Rubiatuladawiyah binti Bakar 046940, and today I'm going to continue with the analysis of this video. Okay, first of all, the analysis will be based on three principles of politeness by Lakoff, which are distance, deference, and also camaraderie. Next, the discussion took place in a studio between the interviewer of Mehdi Hassan and also Syed Saddiq. And in addition, it is a formal conversation as they are discussing on political issue of Malaysia. Okay, let us move to the principle of politeness number 1, which is distance. For your information, distance here means that how close our relationship is with the person we are talking to. It can be in terms of age, family relations, occupations, and many more. And usually, this principle occurs when there is social distance between the speaker and the hearer. Nevertheless, when using this principle, we do not talk about our personal affairs or others' personal affairs. And last but not least, we usually use formal expression to convey our message. Anyhow, in this interview session by Syed Saddiq and also Mehdi, we found that the principle was flouted and there were some occurrences of negative phase in the interview. Okay, let us look at some examples from the interview that show how principle number 1, distance, was being flouted. In the minute of 6, Mehdi being sarcastic to the statement given about Tun Mahathir by Syed Saddiq. In this situation, Mehdi had given a negative face towards Syed Saddiq. Nevertheless, he was ignoring his social distance between him and Tun Mahathir by using the questions. In the example number 2, we can see in the minutes of 8.37, where Syed Saddiq had told about his personal affair, where he and his family were threatened by the government. It was seen as not polite as the interview session was about political issues that were happening in Malaysia. Due to that, there are some examples of sentences that about the principle of politeness that we can use to rephrase the sentences that are not obey the principle of politeness. And the examples can be, mind if I interrupting based on your statement on blah 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 blah. And the second example, I'm sorry if my story will be out of context of today's interview, but I would like to share what happened to me and my family when I was first joined politics. Or it's better for you to not share your personal affair at all.
Moving on to the second principle, which is give option, or also known as deference. But before I forget, I am Aina binti Anuar 046811. According to Lakoff politeness principle, giving option is a way of being polite without insisting the other people to agree or accept everything on what the speakers are saying. It means that the speaker is not forcing the other person to just accept what he or she is saying. So that's why giving option to other people is a polite way. It is also a form of being hesitant and considerate for other people, because the speakers are letting the other people to accept or refuse his or her request. So based from this principle, we need to give option to other people which they can either choose to accept or refuse. Now, we will look at the examples where Mehdi violates the maxim of politeness of give option based on his interview with Syed Saddiq. The first situation, he said, and he didn't do it. Had he stuck to that promise, maybe you wouldn't be in the situation you are today, so divided and all over the place. Mehdi assumed that Tun Mahathir did not keep his promise to let Anuar Ibrahim, as the Prime Minister is the major factor Pakatan Harapan collapse. Mehdi did not even ask any opinions or give any options to Syed Saddiq to disagree with his statements. By looking at his intonation, it seems like Mehdi is accusing Tun Mahathir is the reason why the political crisis occurs. Second situation, Mehdi said that's not consistent. Yes, that is not consistent. He said 1 or 2 years, then he said 2 or 3 years. That, by definition, is not consistent. Mehdi did not only interrupt Syed Saddiq's answer or try to understand his point of view, but kept insisting that Tun Mahathir did not keep his promise. Mehdi was being persistent on his stance as if he did not believe what Syed Saddiq was trying to say at all. Mehdi is being firm on what he believes in and being biased with his own judgment. So in these two situations, it is clear that Mehdi violates the second principle of give option. Lastly, we will look at the examples that we can revise to abide the rule of politeness. So the first example is, but he didn't do it. Why Tun Mahathir did not keep his promise? Is that the reason why this whole situation occurs? Instead of jumping to conclusion about the political crisis occurrence, Mehdi should ask Syed Saddiq about his thoughts on the crisis. Secondly, that's not consistent, isn't it? He said 1 or 2 years, then he said 2 or 3 years. As far as I'm concerned, that is not consistent, don't you agree? So Mehdi could also use that question and hedges to abide the rule of politeness.
Assalamualaikum. I'm Yahya 046630. So moving on, the third principle of politeness is camaraderie, which emphasizes on making the audiences feel good. Masuk 2018 refer it as an attempt to promote openness and letting the participant in a conversation to feel positive. Based on the video, the interviewer flaunted the principle as he asked questions that make Syed Saddiq feel uncomfortable regarding the issue. So, here's are the examples that show the principle has been flaunted. In example 1, the interviewer asked Syed Saddiq regarding the undemocratic coalition leader, which is Muhyiddin Yassin. Earlier in the video, Syed Saddiq mentioned that Muhyiddin Yassin is someone he's close with, and he's like a father to him. So, asking Syed Saddiq directly whether Muhyiddin Yassin caused the problem is quite inappropriate. Syed Saddiq might feel uncomfortable about it to the extent that he shares about his life that's quite personal to be shared with. In example 2, Mehdi demands answer from Syed Saddiq regarding his preferences on being Malay first. Nationality and race are two trivial things, so Syed Saddiq might feel uncomfortable to answer the questions as it might cause misunderstanding toward the public and lead to some sensitive issue. Here's other examples on how we can redo the sentences to abide the politeness principles. In example 1, the interviewer can say, I'm sorry, but what can you say about the undemocratic coalition that you mentioned regarding the Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin? It might sound more appropriate by which the interviewer apologize first before asking Syed Saddiq the questions. It might cause Syed Saddiq to feel more comfortable to answer it. In example 2, the interviewer can say, I see your point there, but what do you think of his statements in representing Malaysia as a whole? Instead of asking Saddiq regarding the nationality and races, he can ask how Saddiq represents Malaysia as a whole in making him feel good. So, we need to emphasize politeness in conversing with people to avoid conflict and also to ensure the best outcome in our conversation.
My name is Nurul Syazwani binti Muhammad Sukri with the metric number 046809. So, I will be the one who concluded this presentation. Alright, so first of all, our group analysed the interview session between the interviewer Mehdi Hassan and Syed Saddiq as the interviewee on upfront. We analysed the interview using politeness principles. Based on the analysis on the transcription of the interview that discussed about the politics crisis in Malaysia, both interviewer and interviewee abused the rules of politeness. All three principles, which are distance, deference and camaraderie, were crossed either by Mehdi Hasan or Syed Saddiq. However, according to Cook, politeness didn't get along with brevity and truth. The choice of words used in conveying the truth might abuse one of the politeness principle. There is a quote from Oscar Wilde, "The truth is rarely pure and never simple," which means that Mehdi Hasan might just trying to get the best answer from the interviewee and had to overrule the politeness principles. The same goes to Syed Saddiq. He explained his situation so that people can understand his condition without realizing he has crossed the rules of politeness. So, I think that is all from us. Thank you so much.